How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Table Takes. My ears are still ringing from listening to Noir shout about how bad In and Out is for the last 10 minutes, and I'm excited for all our new board game news. We got so much to cover. But first, let's check in with all of our hosts. Hey, how about you, Noir? Let's start with you. How's it been going this week?
Oh, it's been a week. But last weekend I went to C2E2, which was fun. I bought some really cool pins that I can't wait to put onto my bag of holding from Roller Crit. Oh,
Ooh.
that's the wrong that this is the sticker that I meant to bring.
Oh, okay,
And you
there we
can't
go.
see it.
I don't know
And,
what that
and
last one was.
Never mind. Anyway, they're all green. Who would have thought? But I got some really cool pins. I'm ready for my bag of holding, which is gonna come here just in time for Gen Con, so I can buy all the things and put all the things in it.
Yay! Well, that sounds great. How about you, Marcus, our special guest for today? What have you been up to?
Oh, well, thank you so much. I have had the pleasure this week, this Wednesday on Table Takes Plays, getting a wonderful new copy of the yet to be released For the Queen from the fine folks at Darrington Press. We got to play this game on Gen Con TV with Sharon Bebop, Bonsai Baby, Damon Van Hee, as well as Danny Kennedy. It was a lot of fun. This game rules. So it was really cool to get to show this game off and play it a little bit. That's pretty much what I've been doing this week. That and making sure I know what's going on in my personal life.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds ominous.
it
Well,
is a little
sounds
ominous.
good. Well, great. I'm glad you guys had a fun time. Hopefully next time I'll be able to join you.
We would love to have you. It is right up your alley.
Oh, great. Hey, Bonsai, what you been up to this week?
Actually, I've been realizing that when you try to make like book note cards, I bought some PDFs for like to make book notations and ratings for books.
Mhm.
You can't really post it on cardstock, at least not on my printer, and I'm very upset because I bought some thick cardstock and I was like, "Oh, I can print this and it'll be great." And I'll cut it out and I'll have nice little bookmarks that are slash book rating things that I can write notes on. And alas, I fought my printer for 2 hours and nothing came of it. This is what I get for trying to like make clever bookmarks. That's basically my story. Fighting with it. But yeah, not really much. Oh, also been really diving into Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's a great light novel plus manga plus anime series, and I'm sad that it's hard to get hard copies of the first original ones because they're in weird copyright limbo or something
Mhm.
like that. And it's yeah, and so like the prints have been discontinued, but also you can kind of buy it on Crunchyroll. It's weird. It's weird.
That is
But
weird.
if you want one of those like light isekai animes that good-hearted, like nice little cozy ones, I would recommend A Sentence of a Bookworm. What about you, Javion? What have you been doing?
Yeah,
Oh, thanks
Javion.
for asking. Um, for the past week or so, I've been making my boyfriend watch all of Avatar: The Last Airbender because he's never seen it. Um, we are almost through book one. We are literally 2 episodes away from the finale. Very much excited to see his reaction. I've been making my own board game, actually, a dice game. I've been getting some assistance from the lovely Emma Larkins, the award-winning designer who used to be here on Table Takes with us. And I'm just working out the kinks in the bonus cards, making sure everything's balanced, trying to make sure everybody's got something to look forward to in a game about rolling dice. But I mean, as we all know, that's all you need for a good board game right there. I'm just adding in some extra stuff for you to enjoy. So I'll give you guys an update if I ever decide to publish or put out a Kickstarter. Who knows? All right, well, folks, let's get started with some headlines. We got a lot to cover, and we're going to get started with the noir with a Guinness World Record. Tell us more.
That's right. A record number of duelists decided to all test their luck to see who truly had the heart of the cards. other Yu-Gi-Oh references. Guinness World Record, largest trading card game tournament ever. Konami's Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series Tokyo this past weekend broke the Guinness World Record with the biggest TCG tournament and most entrants in a TCG tournament with 7,443 participants. Guinness awarded the Guinness World Record certificate to Konami at the event with participants looking on. The event was held at the Tokyo Big Sight International Exhibition Center over 2 days on April 28th and 29th. The 2 day length was at first held to mark the 10th anniversary of the event. The winner of the event was Yutaro Takahashi. The new record broke a 2012 record set by Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship held in Long Beach, California, which had 4,364 participants. That is a lot of dueling. I couldn't help myself, and I'm not sorry. So now I pass it on to all of you. What do you think about this? Did you think that Yu-Gi-Oh would be the one to hold the largest trading card game tournament? I personally thought it would have been Magic, but shows what I know. What about the rest of you? What do you think?
That's a large amount of people. That is Yu-Gi-Oh's had a history. We talked a little bit about this before the show. Yu-Gi-Oh's had a history of completely blowing expectations when it comes to the amount of people who show up to these things. I don't know enough about it, but if you look up like some of the first Yu-Gi-Oh event held in Tokyo Dome, it was a wild thing. So I would not have expected Yu-Gi-Oh to actually be the one though. I was thinking more Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think it's just, at least for me, it's kind of funny that Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of is like the big, like holds the biggest record, because like people forget the origins of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was that it was a manga that made fun of people who played card games. Like this, and now it's like, who's the leader now? The creator was like, they liked the idea so much of what they saw in the comic that he's like, all right, fine, I'll make a game. Here's the game. I was just making fun of it. And then now it's, I don't know. I feel like it's just this, not like the nice little icing on the cake there.
And I have to tell you, if you thought that you could learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh, the trading card game, by watching the anime, that's a good way to get jumped by people who play Yu-Gi-Oh, the trading card game. I know, because I thought I could learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh by watching the anime. I did what I saw Yugi do, and I almost got into several fights.
Oh my gosh.
Yu-Gi-Oh sounds a lot more fun now than it used to be when I was a kid. When I was a kid and I saw people playing, or I looked at how to play, and I even had my own cards, it just felt like a lot of math, and collecting cards sounded fun in theory, but also sounded like a lot of money. A lot of
Yeah.
going to the store and trying to like convince my parents that this was something worth giving me instead of like the snack I wanted that week, or the special like dessert I wanted that weekend or something like that. I'm happy for the folks who are still playing Yu-Gi-Oh, even to this day, having
Yeah.
a great time with it. I'm wondering, what is the status on Exodia? Like, has that
Ooh.
changed at all?
Oh yeah.
Are people still
It
looking for it? Has it been found, or is that like a
No,
thing that
they
I'm
had
misremembering?
them.
so there was a tournament very recently that was won. The reason that it was such a big deal in the nerd space is that it was a turn one Exodia pool,
Ha!
Oh.
which is the which is like the worst and yet best way to lose, because it's like, well, I could do none the heart of cards. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh still holds a very dear part of my heart. I know that a lot of the cards that were banned back in my day are now accessible, which leads me to delusionally believe that the only reason that any person involved in that 7,443 participant tournament, well, the only reason that they won is because I don't have my old spellcaster deck, because they would have got lit.
I,
Well, Sorry, Nork is going to do
No,
something.
no. Honestly, I was just gonna shout out. I don't know as much about Yu-Gi-Oh, the game itself, but I just want to shout out my favorite personal dueler, Joey Wheeler, wherever you are.
Yeah.
You know I love you. Mwah. Love you, Joey Wheeler.
Joey was a real one.
Yep, sure was.
Well, on that note, let's talk about our collections in a little bit more detail. But we're gonna head on over to the side of D&D. And Bonsai, why don't you take it away and tell us how are our D&D collections going to be affected by this new change?
Thank you so much for asking. And also thank you to Matt Bassel at The War Gamer for bringing us this announcement. Well, if you were on or in the D&D circles, there somebody's kicked Hive. And I'll go ahead and tell you all about it. So D&D Beyond this week made a number of changes that were announced. One that has to be the most tension and anger sinking decision was to remove the a la carte purchases. So at first, they tried to announce that for at least American folks or people in the United States of America, you had to have a redesign of the marketplace so you could buy D&D merchandise on D&D Beyond. That's the first thing they tried to headline in news. And then they're like, hey, by the way, we're also taking away a la carte. So if you guys don't know what a la carte is, it was if you didn't want to buy the whole book while using D&D and Beyond, but you still wanted to insert like a certain thing that was included in the book, you can pick and choose items, pick and choose classes, and only pay a fraction of the cost, like $1, $2, $4 for that particular object, class, or item, and insert it into your character sheet. Well, unfortunately, they have taken those away. This has left folks upset because now, if you want to do something as simple as including a magic item, you are awarded from a particular adventure on your character sheet. You now need to purchase the entire book. And some folks have noted that you can still add things via homebrew, but I have a conspiracy about things. All right, so here's the conspiracy that maybe not really is conspiracy, but is reality. Watson realizes that folks use homebrew's features in D&D Beyond to replicate the a la carte experience, and don't have to pay because they're replicating it. It's not the real thing. And guess what? They did say in the past they would absolutely not remove homebrew or charge for it because you know what? They're not going to do that. They're not going to stop you from homebrewing. Well, guess what? Over the next year, this is my theory, they're going to make it harder and harder to use the features to add homebrew objects, especially now that you cannot a la carte. And it's going to be becoming increasingly, oh no, we can't fix it. It's broken. There's no update until a fix is implemented only for paying customers. Ooh, I have that as a theory that maybe is going to be happening. And I know people are really like, oh, but you can just fill it out at home still. That's not the point. People use D&D Beyond so they can insert it in their character sheet and have it official. And if you go to official games, you can't really use it homebrew style. So yeah, it's why are they hurting their consumers? And I don't know. I have Noir, what are your feelings? You seem to have feelings. Do you want to tell me these feelings? Do you want to join the conspiracy with me?
Here are things that D&D Beyond used to be able to do that it can no longer do. One, Unearthed Arcana would update whenever a new Unearthed Arcana was released, it would already be there in D&D Beyond. That was removed. The ability to buy things a la carte. For example, if a book that you weren't really interested in had a class that you were interested in, you could buy that class for $1.99. I know because I bought several. If you did wanted to buy the full book that you've already bought things from piecemeal, you could buy that book at a discount right there on D&D Beyond. This there this they're making several decisions that are interesting, and Have you guys checked out Demi Plane by any chance? No reason to bring that up. I just think that we might want to be interested in checking out Demi Plane. They're building a fifth edition general version of things. So if you wanted to play any fifth edition game, like whichever one, you could.
So what you're saying is that there's endless adventure on one platform, and that platform is Demiplane, the place with digital tools, content, and services to discover, prep, and play all your favorite tabletop role-playing games?
All of your favorites, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And they even have Nexus to help build character tools?
What?
Whoa.
For fifth edition.
That's
it's
wild. Thank
Not
you.
bringing that up for any reason, but I just thought, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just ignore me. Please continue.
Oh my gosh. So this is I like that this has shifted into a Demiplane ad. Demiplane is genuinely, like, I'm not even joking. Demiplane is really, really cool, and they are on the front of some new things in this kind of virtual tabletop field. So I am actually fully on board with this. As someone who has not played as much D&D as other games, I played D&D Beyond to it helped me learn how to play D&D a little bit better. To think of that it's removing some accessibility for players of homebrew games and stuff like that. That's a bit frustrating to hear, especially from a company that doesn't need the money and is telling us that we shouldn't own things.
I'm just going to add one last thing, then I'm going to shut up about this particular topic. Fun fact about Demiplane, it was made by the people that created D&D Beyond when it was good.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, also, more conspiracy with that. So another like conspiracy with that is that some folks have been murmuring and whispering when it was first acquired by WotC D&D Beyond that they bought it as a kill squad, essentially.
Oh, I remember that. The conversation.
That's the other little conspiracy that a lot of people forgot about, but that's just me. Don't mind me. I have a hat. That's all.
We love your hat, Bonsai. We do.
We respect your hat.
But yes, Marcus, Javion, do you have anything to add to Noir's Salt?
Well, something I heard, not heard, watched, learned. Something I learned from watching Matthew Colville's videos is that apparently, ever since Hasbro took over, they've been trying to make more money. I guess that's like the goal, or like the object of a company, is to become profitable or something like that. And one of the things that they do is, instead of letting a lot of these small things happen in small quantities as needed, they'll try to sell large books, full adventures, long campaigns, instead of short ones or tidbits that can be used a la carte, you might say. So I am not fully surprised that this is the choice that was made. What were you going to say, Marcus?
Nothing. I had nothing to input. I'm fully just nodding.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to tag on to what you said, because you're absolutely right. I pulled up the exact quote from the now former CEO of Wizards of the Coast, Cynthia Williams. The quote is, "D&D has never been more popular, and we have really great fans and engagement, but the brand is really under monetized." Now we're seeing how they intend to monetize it, which is to take away accessibility for people that can't afford $40 books. So I'm done now.
Well, let's go ahead and switch gears now and talk about something a little bit more uplifting. It's a game called Arcs from the designers from Leader Games. So this article comes to us from Milton Greep of ICV2, and it's all about this new board game called Arcs. Now, I did report on it last year. It was a little bit of a teaser, and we have some more details about it now, namely a release window. Sometime in October this year, we'll be getting this full game that should be played in about 1 to 2 hours for 2 to 4 players. What is Arcs? Well, you might remember some of Later Games' other games, like Root, Oath, and Vast. Those are typically some of the larger games in their catalog, and Arcs is no different. Arcs is a sci-fi game. It's mixing elements of darkness and silliness with competition. You're commanding these large space navies conducting massive battles using 3 different kinds of custom dice in order to complete objectives around the galaxy. You've got these action-oriented cards, and we have a little bit of a teaser on what those are going to look like as well. So definitely check out the link right there in Twitch chat if you want to check it out. As far as I know, Later Games has made a lot of really fun things. I've been very excited to play Root and Oath. I never got a chance to play Vast, but I've heard really good things. And they even made a game recently called Fort, which was, as I'm hearing, a little bit challenging to find a copy of, but I did manage to get my own. And I have to say, all of their stuff is pretty high quality. It's got a fun, cartoonish art style, creatures or characters with these large heads, so you can sort of visualize them with their astronaut helmets and everything on. Definitely check out the art on this too if you liked the other games, because they definitely bring that style back for this one. Marcus, you told us earlier while we were preparing for the show today that you actually had a chance to experience this game.
Yeah. So I got to take a look at it, set out during one of the early days for the folks who came to Gamma to take a look at all the new releases. And there was, so I got to see the board laid out. I got to see several turns played. I got to fiddle with the pieces, which is my personal favorite thing because this game is gorgeous. I'm a big fan of Root. The art design was my first year at Gen Con. Someone showed me Root and I was obsessed with that art design. And then I started playing the games. Then people started giving me every single Leader Games game just based off of that they look like this. And I love them. So Arcs has this really interesting space mechanic that I wish I remembered enough to actually talk about intelligently, but I am really hopeful for this. I am really excited that we're going to get a chance to play this soon, and I'd love to play with you all actually, if that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's make this happen.
One thing I just want to make perfectly clear for everybody at home: Later Games is a company. They take that later part from German, so like later Hosen. So once and for all is later, like see you later or like later Hosen. So now we all know how to say later from Later Games. Definitely check this game out when it comes out in October. Let's roll right into our next headline here. Marcus, why don't you take it away? It's an article you've said is very exciting for you.
Hello. Are you like me and do you like bugs? If not, that's totally okay. But there is a cool game coming out called Insectarium. Let me make sure I press all the right buttons. Insectarium is an upcoming board game that sees players creating their own board of insect species to display within the display of a hall, in the grand hall of an insectarium. An insectarium is kind of like a zoo, but just for bugs. Usually there's display elements like the bugs with the pins. Sometimes there's actual live insects. There's actual conservatory that do this around the country. So in the game, to create their insect displays, players will gather and utilize their gear as well as collect tools that are needed to arrange the pin and the specimens that they collect into their displays. On a player's turn, they must choose a card and token from the shared pool. Before selecting an insect specimen to pin to their board, players can use their gear tokens to activate certain abilities that will help with their displays. So this is published by Snowbright Studios, a company who, actually another company I met at Gamma. They were really, really wonderful people. We hope to have him on here soon, but they make games like Cozy Companion as well as Ink, which is a really, really cool game that we will have them on to talk about in the next upcoming months. But one thing that I wanted to note about this game is this is a part of Snowbright Studios' 50-50 revenue split. This is the produced under the company's co-production program, which grants a 50-50 revenue split between the studio and the creators of the game. The crowdfunding campaign for Insectarium will be launched on Kickstarter sometime this year, so keep an eye out there. Basically, if you like bugs, if you like really cool art, this looks like Wingspan for bugs. So please check this out. Keep an eye out, and I will definitely bring this to your attention a little bit later.
Now, I'm not an expert on like the industry and how these things usually tend to go, but is 50-50 a lot, or does it usually tend to be like lower or like higher for the creators? I'm not really sure.
I'm actually not so sure about that myself. But for the most part,
sounds good.
Well, yeah, for the most part, it's usually a little bit less. Like I would imagine in other fields, like if the people who handle the production, honestly, they will take on more because they have more cost. So I don't know much more about that. If you have some thoughts about that, please.
Well, it definitely sounds good. I mean, you like to hear 50-50 because it sounds fair, and balanced. So I'm hoping that it's a good thing. I mean, why would they be talking about it?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like that maybe would not be a thing to talk about if it wasn't good.
All right, well, let's go ahead and roll right into our next headline here. We've got some Wizards of the Coast news. Bonsai, why don't you take this one? Oh, sorry, no, Noir. My apologies.
No,
Oh
Bonsai, this
no,
is yours. Bonsai, you take it now. Get out of
it's
here.
yours now. Let's go.
No, I don't want to use your hot potato. There you go.
Okay. Wizards of the Coast invest $1 billion in video games. First and foremost, I just want to thank Alex Meehan for providing us this story. So let's jump into it. Hasbro, the company that owns and runs D&D Wizards of the Coast, has already invested $1 billion in order to create new video games based on the tabletop role-playing game. In an interview with GameIndustry.biz, Dan Ayub, head of digital product development at Wizards of the Coast, discussed Hasbro's plans for developing and publishing new titles based on the company's various properties, including Dungeons and Dragons. Ayub confirmed that Hasbro has considerable investment in the studio structure. They've got over $1 billion in games right now being developed. It was already announced in late 2022 that Invoke Studio, once named Tux Games, the developer behind 2021's D&D video game Dark Alliance, is currently working on original Dungeons and Dragons inspired video game, an original Dungeons and Dragons inspired video game. According to you, the video game division of Hasbro, which currently features 4 separate studios, has something like last year's critically acclaimed role-playing game, Baldur's Gate 3, the third entry in a series of video games directly based on D&D. Developed and published by Larian Studios, who had licensed the rights to the series from Wizards of the Coast, Baldur's Gate 3 has since become one of the most critically successful video games ever released, winning multiple awards for Game of the Year from several different organizations. You commented that one of the great things that Wizards took away from the success of Baldur's Gate is that people really, really like a well-executed D&D game.
Hmm.
Despite the layoffs implemented by Hasbro last year, which saw 1,100 staff losing their jobs in order to keep Hasbro healthy, the company has invested $1 billion into more than just 4 studios it has publicly revealed. So yeah, it looks like the success of Baldur's Gate 3 has inspired Hasbro to focus on video games for D&D. Although, again, as we've reported in the last couple of episodes, Larian Studio has chosen to no longer work with them, and many of the people at Wizards who consulted with Larian, who helped develop what would become one of the greatest games of our generation. Many of them are no longer with the company due to the layoffs to keep Hasbro healthy. So good luck to Hasbro in recreating the magic that was Baldur's Gate 3. I'm sure you've done everything to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, this is an absurd story. This is a story that is so circular. This isn't literally specifically what the guy who's in charge of Larian said, where it's cutoffs, it's layoffs, and then we hire a new team when we want something, and then we build up a whole team, then you fire them to cut costs, and then you have to start the cycle over again from scratch. You are burning, regardless of the burning bridges, because you have enough money, you can rebuild those bridges. And Hasbro, Wizards, they have the money to do this. But what makes these games are the people who put them together, the effort, the love, and the craft that goes into these things. So for me, I don't care about Wizards of the Coast. I don't care about Hasbro. This is really bad in general for the gaming industry. You can't just throw money at stuff like this and without any, I don't know. My heart is actually pounding. I'm kind of angry.
I'm doing my best to keep the saltiness down to a minimum.
Well, if anything, I mean, G-Man, can I borrow your soapbox really quick?
Please.
I want to borrow. I'm gonna borrow. I'll have 10 soapbox. Don't worry, you don't have to play anything. So, I'm stepping on this soapbox really quick. So this isn't just something that is related to, even though I know this is something terrible that is happening, it's not only something that's related to Hasbro. This is something that is rampant in the gaming industry in general. If you know, they have a series of fire everybody, rehire everybody back, throw money at it, hope it's for the best
Mm-hmm.
kind of attitude, along with the whole idea that we need to come out with the serious new game every year, even though it's really hard to do everything within a year, and it's the gaming industry in general just needs a whole uprooting. This is
Yeah.
really what the fact is. It's not so much the throwing of money. It's just like, as like, I have friends who are game developers who, like, sometimes it's a limbo whether or not you're going to have like a job after the game is fully
Yep.
released. That is a very common thing. And so this is just something that, like, hey, is known in the gaming industry, and it's really sad, and it's not really anything. I don't know how to fix it. It's my soapbox that says the system is messed up. We know it's messed up, and all they can keep doing is throw money at it and not have job security for a lot of folks.
Like, one of the biggest things for this is Larian actually taking the thing and walking. That is the first time I have seen a studio of this size at this with this much positive press pushing them forward. Just say, you know what, actually, this is the problem and we don't need this. This is the problem with video games. We're going to go do our own thing. That for me is a really impressive stance. That's the closest I've seen to someone literally take, this is our ball. We made this. We're going to take this and we're going to go do something else. Especially in the face of such massive layoffs.
I I'll say this. The reason that Baldur's Gate 3 turned out as good as it did is because the people making it loved D&D, the people giving feedback loved D&D, and ultimately the people who did not know anything about D&D learned to love it after playing the game. That is a whole lot of goodwill that Hasbro has expended by treating everyone as though they're disposable. Um, so that's all I'm gonna say. They're doing a very good job in making it hard to love a thing that I used to love.
Well, I think you put that very well, Noir, and thank you so much for bringing this article for us today. Let's go ahead and move to our next headline here. This one comes to us from Charlie Thiel of Polygon. It's all of Polygon's best board game picks for 2024 so far. This
Ooh.
is the best of 2023. So let's take a look at what they chose and let's see if we agree or not. Starting with Dune, The War for Arrakis. So this is a game on the very long line of Dune games that resurfaced ever since the movies started coming out and there was a big surge of Dune games. There was the Dune that was resurfaced, an old game that was sort of remastered. There's Dune Imperium and several spin-offs that were sort of copying other games and using them as a skin. Now we have an original Dune War for Arrakis that uses a lot of miniatures. It's a miniatures game. It's a long game. It should play at least 2 hours typically, sometimes more, but it gives you the feel of playing these long, drawn out battles with much more combat focus and getting to see the tactical strategy of controlling different areas on the board. So I can see why it is one of their big picks. Next up, we've got Gloomhaven, Buttons and Bugs. Now, this is a game I've only heard of in whispers, but I haven't actually seen a lot of people talking about them. That goes for a couple of other picks on this list as well. Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs is Gloomhaven. It's on that franchise. It's using that because it's in that same world. But you play as heroes who have been shrunken down to the size of buttons and bugs. You now have to combat several new obstacles and fight new monsters like giant bugs, which are only giant to you because of how small you are. Now, the game is very small, fits in your hand, and it's only $20. And it plays a lot faster than Gloomhaven does too. So if you're looking for a quicker fix, this might be the one for you. Next up, we've got a co-op town building game called Mythwind. Now, this is one that I was most excited to see. And I like seeing lists like this because it tends to help me learn about stuff that I might have missed, even just being on the show. Sometimes we miss things too, like Mythwind. It is a cooperative game about exploration, and got a more cozy feel to it. One of the things that contributes to that is the fact that it does not end. This is a board game designed with no ending in sight. You could ostensibly play this forever. Maybe you'll reach the end of the content that they have available for you to explore, but you can still keep playing it, which is something that caught my eye. Another thing that caught my eye, the price point. It's $110, which, I mean, if for a game without end, you you could be forgiven for thinking it might be infinite in terms of its price, but no, $110. It's a pretty big box and you get a lot to go with it. Next up, we've got Space Riders 3000, another game that definitely flew under my radar. This is an app-driven, cooperative delivery game. You play with all of your friends in space. It's got more of that cartoony sci-fi vibe, which is much more accessible to somebody like me, who never really grew up with all the very serious Star Trek and Star Wars and all the people who are live action doing all the sci-fi stuff. I much prefer my casual cartoons. In this game, you're playing in a cooperative way, trying to deliver packages while also combating aliens, robots, using your AI system and this app that helps you solve the different puzzles and play the game. It's going to be a little bit quicker, only 60 to 90 minutes per playtime, but it's definitely for the more casual gamer. And then next up, here we've got Star Wars Unlimited. Now, I had a chance to learn this game back in, ooh, how long ago was it now? It's got to be Whew, that's so long ago. We had a chance to actually learn this game, and I definitely slept on it. Well, I'm not going to anymore because this game has become wildly successful. I think, if you ask me, the folks who no longer have their Fantasy Flight Games Star Wars collectible game now have something else to occupy their time because Star Wars Unlimited takes a lot of different ideas from a lot of different existing card games and mashes them all into one with all the deck building and combos you would expect from a normal card collecting game. There are already a couple of expansions out right now, some boosters, the Rebels, and some even Mandalorian stuff going in there as well. You're picking all these different leaders from the Star Wars franchise and then putting them into battle with each other in a very easy to understand way, stuff that you'll probably recognize from other games. So I can see why they're doing so well, and I definitely want to get in on it myself. And last up, we've got Wormspan. Polygon has decided that the sequel to Wingspan was worthy of this list. Now, from what I hear, this sequel has a lot of the same and a few minor tweaks that make the game feel fresh. Not only do you have a bunch of winged creatures to take care of, just like in Wingspan, now they're dragons. And we did cover this once before. I think Bonsai had something to say about the fact that there is a creature on the front that is not technically a worm, according to certain definitions. Be that as it may, definitely people are really into it, not only because it is a lot like Wingspan, but because the game designers at Stonemaier know how to make a pretty decent board game, and this is no exception. So definitely check out anything on this list that piqued your curiosity. Anything on this list that you guys would want to try out?
Um, I think for me, it's always like because Wormspan, yes, even though it's an incorrect species on the cover, it's still like it. I hear that there's some new mechanics to it. I am a big fan of Wingspan. I am a big fan of Arc Nova. Those type of like collecting kind of games. I think the only problem is that it's not technically a learning card collective game that this kind of
Mhm.
like I feel like there should be a new category for people just not saying, "Oh, it's Wingspan," because I feel like there should be like it should be labeled as
Yeah.
educational card game that's collective or something like that. But yeah, that one I feel like is the one I'm most interested in these categories.
So I got to look a little bit at Wormspan at Gamma as well. It's really really cool. Like if you like Wingspan, you're gonna like Wormspan. It's the art is pretty. There's enough variant from the gameplay of Wingspan to make it enjoyable. But for me, of this list, I am not gonna lie. The concept of a game that just kind of doesn't end, that you can kind of play, that there's not a rush to the finish. I am very fascinated about that. That's Mythwind. That looks,
Mhm.
and it's not even that, the art looks gorgeous on it.
All right, Nora, what about you?
Mm, I think I gotta go with Star Wars Unlimited.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I just yeah, I mean,
Tell you what,
yeah.
you and I can learn it at Gen Con this year. We won't miss our chance this time.
Let's go. I'm reluctant to get into another card game. Like that's the
Yeah.
only thing.
True, true. Well, it's very popular and a lot of people seem to like it. So I
Yeah.
think it's worth giving a try, especially if you like Star Wars. And I know
Mhm.
I,
you do.
I
I
love
mean,
Star
if you know
Wars.
if you like card games and like Magic the Gathering and you like Star, just lean into it. Lean into it.
Speaking of
Have the
which,
arms open.
hey, Bonsai, why don't you lead us into our final headline here?
Yeah, bonsai.
Yeah,
All
bonsai.
right. I will take this. So today, as we've been doing, I am going ahead and introducing more silly discussions to get know about us here because we have a lot of things that we go ahead and say throughout the news. Most of these are like kind of secondhand opinions that we kind of trickle down from all the various reporters that come in. And I feel like we should also give our own opinions to something. And doing so, let's go ahead as let me go ahead and put this scenario out of here. You're sitting down and you got grandma, you got uncle, you got family members at a, reunion. And there's not really much to do. People just don't want to start talking about things because then people are going to start fighting about
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
But neither of them, like all of these family members, have not played a board game in 20 plus years. And just mentioning the idea of Dune just makes their eyes glaze over. They can't seem to understand anything that is not like within their sphere of pop like information. Um, and you only have about a handful, like 5 minutes to teach them a game. What is your gateway board game? I would like to say, what is your gateway board game to folks?
Ah,
So, for example, I'll go ahead and pull out games that I have that I really like introducing to
gateway, like
folks.
drugs.
Yes, but this is board games, so it's much better. For you. But
Better
yes,
than drugs? Okay, we'll see.
better, much better. But you'll still lose the same amount of money on it. So this is the games that I usually choose is a game called Parks and Cascadia. They're nature themed. One of these, Cascadia, is from AEG Games, and then Parks is from Gamer Trays, and they're both very beautiful games that are simple to play. One, you're trying to travel as many parks as you can with like around the world within a year. And the other one is you're building nature tiles to occupy with animals with certain tokens to gain more points in the Pacific Northwest. These are games that are very easy. You can find YouTube videos too to if they don't want to listen to you explain it. And simple to go games. What do you guys think about this? And nature is easy. People like nature. Nature is very easy. You can look out a window and be like, I understand nature.
You also prove that by bringing both those games to one of our Table Takes game nights at the studio in Chaldea, and we picked it up pretty quick. It's really really fun.
Yeah.
For
So
me, I like a smaller game. Like for me, the newest one, we just chatted this out already at the beginning of the stream, but For the Queen is so easy to pick up. You can pick this up, play with people of various levels of improv skills, and you get a little RPG light element to this as well. I love little card games like Sushi Go, as well as the
Yes.
amazing Abandon All Artichokes from Emma Larkins, a
Award-winning.
award-winning Emma Larkins, who I love. So I love all these little card games, as well as this cute one, which I got to play a little bit of at Gamma. I got this at Gamma. It's called Smug Owls. It's a
Ooh.
nice, chill, little fun laugh card game.
Now that's one I know I would love too.
Yeah.
And when I think of games that are good for everybody, not just like the people who are joining in, but also the people who are sitting around trying to not fall asleep playing, Yahtzee or something like
Yeah.
that. Something I usually bring out, something I know Noir and I agree on, is like something with like a little bit of a social deduction aspect to it, something with lying, something like resistance. But I also have another one here called That's Not a Hat I got at Gen Con last year, alongside another one called Chicken. Both of these games, very quick to play, very easy. This game is literally just a bunch of cards with pictures on them. Each card has a different picture. And people say they don't like memory games, but then I sit them down to play it, and we're always having a great time. Everybody's laughing. We're being polite using manners because that's part of the game, and I'm forcing everybody to be kind to each other. That's the kind of game I think anybody could get on board with. We got Noir searching
Noir.
for something.
Noir's searching.
Searching.
Noir's
Well,
looking.
I found another one.
Oh.
oh, show us.
Gloom.
Okay.
Gloom.
Ooh.
Gloom,
Yeah, I know people like that one. Yeah.
Gloom is it's a funny game in which everybody starts off with a family member and your job is to make them as miserable as possible. You want your own family to be miserable so that they die and you get stuff from them. And so the way that you attack other players is by having happy things happen to these beautiful. I love the artwork of these
Yeah,
cards.
what is it? It looks like
It's
that one
good.
artist. I forgot that one artist who did those kind of Victorian looking black and white creepy children creepy. I forgot what that was called.
Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria, the person who did that. Thank you.
Oh, the
Thank you.
Victorian children, Victoria.
I mean, everything about this game. It's an older one, but everything about this is just. I feel like, especially because I have a lot of gothy, Tim Burton loving friends. Everything about this just kind of fits that aesthetic. And I just love the game design ingenuity of having the cards be transparent, so when you put modifiers on them, it shows up like this. It's just a very well thought out game, very simple, very easy to play. Yeah, it's just one of my favorites, and I've gotten a lot of people trapped into TTRPGs by using it.
I hope
Nice.
all of you at home there found some new games to introduce to your family members as we head into the summer. Hopefully, you have something new to pick up at your local game store. But with that, we are now done with our headlines, and we're going to roll right into our next segment. It's everybody's favorite, All Rise for Crowdfunder Court.
Welcome to Crowdfunder Court. Here come the judges. Prepare to be judged. All right, court is now in session.
All right, I'm first up to court, and I'm gonna bring Word Weaver. So this game is from Game Found. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out, this is a educational board game that is like designed to be a cooperative adventure mode Scrabble. It's 2 to 4 players, and instead of 7, you get a set of 7 random number or letters at different point values, and that's what you use as a damage tracker. And each group opponent encounters sorry, words. Damage players each take a role of an adventurer with special powers, like discard 2 tiles, and each party member chooses between one of its letters to double it to enter the score. So this is just something that you play with teachers and kids. If the player totals add up to enough to defeat that enemy, they take treasure, which is a single-use letter tile that they can use to have more letters that they can clack down and stuff. And if they take damage instead of taking damage, they can use crackle tile, which takes up 1 or more spaced letters. It's a simple game with fun mechanics that is educational, that's co-op, and can be played within 15 to 60 minutes. And it's a fun game just to make it like cooperative Scrabble is the best way I could describe it. And if that game sounds good to you, Word Reaver from Game Found.
That sounds awesome. I love word games. So that the art on this looks fantastic. Plus, there's a really weirdly sexy hog in the Kickstarter. So the game's found. So go ahead and check that out. Little Easter egg. Follow that link that I dropped in chat.
Now I gotta check it out.
Yeah. There's no time to check it out because it's Noir's turn.
All right. Well, we're just gonna get into the awesome right here. A friend of the a game made by friend of the show, Craig Nerdberger. We've got Hypersleep Terminated. You ever watch one of those space movies where something goes wrong and think, me and my friends could probably do that better? Well, now you can put your money where your mouth is because there's a game let you do just that. That's right. In this game, it is a short play GM-less tabletop role-playing game where players portray characters in a space disaster movie. A lot of you are going to die. It's just a matter of when and how dramatic you can make it. After your character is gone, however, you become a producer on the movie and can continue to influence the story right up until the end. So if you got and you want to make sure that everybody else got like I would, this is the game for you. What you're gonna get in this bundle is the complete game rules, 12 character archetype pages with cool abilities, act and scene guidelines, which you'll use to generate scenes and propel the story. Ooh, excuse me, 12 spectacular disasters, including setup, a variety of threats to overcome, and a final threat to take on to win the day and avert death. Some alternate rules to spice things up, two alternate roles to play after your character is gone. So you're not just going to be the producer, you'll be a secret second thing. Blank character archetype and disaster pages, so you can make your own disasters, probably inspired by our IRL. We're in the worst timeline. And finally, all of the illustrations are in glorious black, white, and red. So please, if you like space, you like disasters, and you like offing your friends at the game table, pick this one up. It's got a goal of $1,500, and they smashed it with an asteroid at $6,627 with 208 backers. You've got 13 days to hop on this ill-fated rocket. Uh, that almost made several jokes there, which are not funny. But so please check this one out.
This game looks cool. I always love seeing what comes out of Nerdburger. Craig Campbell makes some really really fun games. I was actually just reading through the crowdfunder, and it mentions the Die Laughing or Die Laughter. It's kind of shares some of the DNA. Same with that game, and that is really fun of a game. I love this. We got to get him on to come and talk about this stuff again.
Absolutely. I've had the chance to play Capers a couple of times now, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I haven't had the chance to play Cyberpunk Capers, but yeah, Craig comes out with great stuff. Yeah, we'll have to reach out to have him come back here for interview number. What will that be? 4?
3 or 4 for sure.
Yeah, he was my first interview. First time, like I was.
That's right. That's right. That's wonderful.
Buy the crowdfunder. Do it. All right. You can stop perceiving me now.
Okay. How about I go next?
Sounds
let's
good.
see here. This is a Kickstarter from Manny Tremblay. You might recognize that name as I did from other titles such as Radlands and Dice Throne. The art style has been brought over to a very neon style game, hence the name Neon Rain. Reign spelled Reign because you're fighting to reign supreme in this arcade sort of Street Fighter style simulator. You're battling against one other player. It's strictly 1 or 2 players, so you could solo it and fight against a computer generated character. Or you can fight against a friend in a fast, action packed card playing game in which you get your deck of cards to match the character that you've grabbed and some universal combo cards to go with it. Trying to create these combos that'll let you attack your opponent, maybe even throw them or guard or block your opponent from trying to do what they're trying to do, all the while collecting all of these star power points that will let you do ultimate attacks that will bypass any defenses your opponent might try to throw up. The rule book is already up for you to peruse, although it's not fully finished yet. They are taking some feedback on it. I love Manny Tremblay's games. I really love Dice Throne, which is another battle game, so I know he's got some good ideas on his hands. Plus, the neon style with the black background really helps all of the art really pop out. The game's going to be retailing at $20, but you get an exclusive deal to get the upgraded components $5 off if you want to grab the $35 version, which comes with some acrylic tokens and metal coins. So definitely check this out if you are a fan of all those arcade fighting games and you want a card game that will have you battling your opponent with the same sort of fast action style. And folks, that's going to do it for Crowdfunder Court today, and thus TableTakes. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We had a great time. But don't go far, because in just a couple hours, we've got Sarah's Table. Sarah is creating a Fairy Tale in a solo RPG. Her princess will travel the ruins searching for truth and herself in Princess with a Cursed Sword. Don't miss it. All times are Pacific, folks. On Mondays, we have Peter versus the Machine at 9 a.m. We've got Dress to Quest at 5 p.m. On Tuesdays, it's Vampire the Masquerade with Indie by Night at 7 p.m. And on Wednesdays, we have a miniature painting with Path of the Brush at 4 p.m. Then Actoroki at 6 p.m. On Thursday mornings, we've got Blood on the Clock Tower at 10 a.m. And then you can join us again at 5 p.m. for some Shadowrun with Roll with Rem Alternus. On Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, we'll be right back here again for some more table takes, joining you at your homes in the Twitch chat, giving you all the links and the headlines, showing you all the new board games, talking about all the buzz, and complaining more about In and Out. Thanks to Gen Con TV crew, Marcus Mays behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, Steve Connor, Sarah Moore, Tanel Lovett, and Danny Kennedy. Thank you to all of my delightful co-hosts, Bonsai Baby, Noir Enigma. Thank you for joining us once again, Marcus. And thanks most of all to you for watching and hanging out with us in chat. Remember to follow Gen Con TV for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long, right here on twitch.tv/GenCon TV. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye now.